Hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy XII, now with twice the jobs. So the way I did it is, as you can see, this is the jobs they have. The way I did it is we first started off with Fran and Ash, because those, when we did the poll, had a tie. So Fran tied Archer, because y'all are boring, and Ash tied Black Mage. So I gave them the associated jobs, and then put the remaining 4 into a randomizer, random 3 times, and then slapped on what it picked to first come, first serve. So we started on Vaughn, went across the top, and then went across the bottom. So we ended up with this, which has some interesting pairings. Bushi Shikari is a bit strange. It's going to result in some curious weapon choices, because we were going to have to pick between katana and ninja swords. Ninja swords, all of them, by the way, are locked behind quickenings, though. We already have one, conveniently, ninja swords 3. But every ninja sword is locked behind a quickening, so if we want to use those, and they are very good, we're going to have to spend quickenings to get access to them. So that's going to be an interesting choice to make. Not only that, Shikari are physical weapons. They are based entirely on your strength. Bushi, or samurai weapons, katanas, are based partially on your magic power, which is why samurai gets all this magic lore, and magic equipment for that matter. So that's going to be an interesting choice. Balthier is machinist and foebreaker. I'm probably going to slap some axes and or hammers on him, just because I never use them and for variety's sake. He also gets access to a lot of battle lore because of the fact that he is Foebreaker, so his physical damage is going to be very high regardless of what he picks. He'll also have access to Expose and wherever the other ones are. The associated other withers and stuff like that he has. There they are, Adel and Wither. As well. So we'll have 2 people that can actually do that, because Ulan also gets access to those. Fran is a red battle mage archer, which is not a particularly interesting combo. She'll probably be primarily using bows plus magic, so nothing too spicy going on there. I intended to set up gambits before we started playing, actually, now that I remember that. Doesn't matter, I'll do those some other time. Bosch has Ulan and Monk, which are both physical attackers. They use poles for Monk and spears for Ulan, very similar weapons, but not quite the same. He'll probably stick with spears. It really depends on what we want, because spears are frequently elemental, whereas poles are not frequently elemental. There are some that are elemental, but because of that, he gets access to a lot of battle lore as well as a decent chunk of HP, because Ulan has a bunch of HP, and so does Monk. As you can see here, they have all the way up to HP 12. I think they skip 11 for some reason. Not entirely sure, but that's what he's got. Ash is Night Mage, Night Mage, I guess is what you could say. So she'll have access to black magic, all of the black magics, as well as some additional variety magic, mostly green, I think. I think entirely just green, actually. But anyway, she'll have access to that, so where'd it go? There it is. So I'm right next to it, yeah, doofus. She probably will stick to her heavy armor and shield and sword, and just cast magic as like an addition to that. We shall see. Penelo is our white time mage, so she is actually, effectively she is old school white mage, so she has access to all the healing and protective magics. And she has access to haste and reflect and things like that, and slow, and that's probably all I'm going to use is that. But she'll also have access to decoy, oil, drain, reverse. I don't think she has access to bubble, which is kind of annoying. But I think Fran does have access to bubble. Someone else has access to bubble. I can't remember who it is, though. Is it you? No, why would it be you? That'd be weird. Come on, Monk. No, they're not gonna have it. Like Black Mage, I don't think she has it. Black Mage has bubble. Black Mage should have bubble, right? There it is. So she does have bubble. So she has basically all of our defensive and restorative magics and stuff like that, which is very nice. But that's pretty much our setup here. I have set everyone's, or used everyone's license points up to get passives, almost entirely passives, but as well as things like Ash's black magic and miscellaneous white magic and black magic for Fran and Penelo and all of that nonsense. I meant to set up gambits before I started recording, but I forgot to do so. By God, they have a lot of gambits. So I'm going to quickly cut the recording and set some basic gambits up right now and see what we can do. Alrighty, I'm back. Set up. Whoa! Also yanked my earbud out. Set up some. Put that back in. Set up some basic gambits. They didn't change for some people, but they look real sloppy for others, and slightly changed for some as well. So she has Fire and Dispel available to her. He doesn't change. She has many things. We're going to replace this with Blizzara when we get access to it, so I'm not using it for now because Blizzard is weaker than just hitting things at the moment. But Fire and Lightning weak, and then Wind and Water weak will be replaced with Aeroga and Aquaga? Aquara? What is the is there 3 Aqua levels? There's only 2 Aero levels. So it goes to Aeroga immediately, I'm pretty sure. But I don't remember the next Aqua spell. Anyway, I'm not using those yet. I'll probably set up some blind gambits as well, utilizing... Where is it? I don't know if I have it, do I? No, I don't. There's some gambits for targeting the highest strength and highest magic power foes, so you can set up blind and silent, or blind, silence, or sleep and stuff like that on those. Penelo looks real wonky, don't worry about that for now. She has Protect and Shell on here. She also has Decoy set up for Ash. Decoy makes all enemies target the person with the decoy buff. She has Dispel. She also has Haste, which I don't have anything set up for because I was going to set it to Self so that she would automatically maintain Haste on herself, and then I can, if I needed to, deal with putting Haste on other people. Which for the time being, she doesn't have the MP to waste maintaining Haste and Protect and Shell, for that matter, on everyone. So I'll just have to do that manually. What else was I going to do with her? I was going to do something else, but I don't think I had the thing set up for it. Or the decoys available for it. Whatever it was, I don't remember. I could set up an oil thing. So like I could... It would have to be faux any. I was thinking you could set it up so it's faux fire weak, but I think that might cause her to continuously cast oil. I guess we could test this. Let's test this. The other option is setting it to faux any, where she will only target an enemy with oil if it does not already have the oil debuff. And this will go with Ash's faux fire weak thing, so we do lots of damage to enemies that are weak to fire. Entirely unnecessary quantity of damage, but it'll be a good test. So let's go ahead and leave. The Moogles there will tell you to beware that there's a strong defender of the forest or something along those lines. I don't know, but let's make our way over here. Let's go ahead and speed up too. This is the direction we are intended to go, which was prior blocked, but is now open to it. These are not weak to anything of use to us because we don't have Blizzara, so. But anyway, we should easily deal with the foes here due to our stupendous amount of damage. These are weak to wind. What is that? Why are you here? Hanging out with the regular Malboros. As long as they don't use their bad breath. There we go. Surely there's an enemy weak to fire somewhere in this forest, right? Right? Surely. That doesn't currently seem to be the case. By the way, look how much health Balthier has compared to Penelo. He's a wee bit tanky. Well, we're already here, so... Okay. Now you might notice there's a teleportation save crystal here. It is here for a reason. Primarily for a convenient teleportation spot, but because there is also a boss through this little zone transition. So, let us set our party up. We obviously want Ash as our tank. Probably she already has Protect, so she will make a perfect tank. The other person we could take is Bosch because he has auto slow, or on hit slow, not really auto slow, but which saves me from having to manually apply it if it'll apply from the weapon. The other option probably would just be Vaughn for raw damage. Now, if you want to make this boss fight much, much simpler, I would say get to level 30. It's probably over leveled, but I would say get to level 30, get your second quickening, and this boss fight will be pretty easy. If you don't have that, if you're like me, about level 25, which is the expected level for this boss fight, it's gonna be a bit tricky. So, we'll see how it goes. The reason this boss is tricky is it's the Elder Wyrm. If you don't know who the Elder Wyrm is, it is known as all of the status ailments. This is decoy, by the way, I hate it. There we go. Decoy has an inherently very low chance to hit. However, you can make it a higher chance to hit, if this is still a thing anyway, by lowering your magic resist, I think is what it is. Inherently lowering your magic resist, which will make it hit more often. Obviously there's downsides to that, but you know, it's fine. Penella has so little health compared to everyone else. I mean, it's because she's a mage and they don't get many HP ups, but you know, it's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, so Lure, we are now a ducky. Let's go ahead and hop in here and say hello to our friend, the Elder Wyrm. I don't know why the camera does this weird pan thing, but you know. Setting the mood. So the boss itself is fairly simple. He doesn't really do much. He does relatively low damage himself. He has 2 treant buddies that will spawn with him. And he also has the ability to cause all of the things to be death. And I do mean all of the things. He also casts silence occasionally, which is rather annoying. Doesn't do it much, but will do it. Anyway, the treants, they won't always do this, but they will, got hit with slow, that's rather annoying. They will occasionally cast Protect on the Elder Wyrm. I don't know what causes them not to do it, but sometimes they do ignore it, so whatever. Anyway, because we have Decoy, the only person, and there's the Dispel going into action from Penella, the only person taking any auto attack or single target damage will be Penella, or not Penella, Ash. I've lost the ability to speak. And because she has a shield, this will drastically reduce the amount of healing we need. He still hasn't been afflicted with slow, which is rather annoying. So as you can see, the boss itself really doesn't do anything. The boss is not the issue. The issue is Sporefall, which it is now using. So Sporefall causes most ailments in the game with a relatively high chance for the basic ones. It can also cause that. However, you might notice Ash is the only one that got hit with anything. I don't actually know who has my, none of these people apparently. Vaughn that has it? I think it might be Vaughn that has it. My Remedy lure. Does it not actually say on that menu? I thought I gave it to someone. Yeah, you have it. So it just doesn't say on that menu. Okay, whatever. Moderately annoying, but Vaughn, please throw a remedy at Ash, because she has so many status ailments, it's kind of ridiculous. There we go. Remedies are not cheap at this point in the game. However, if you don't have remedies, the only other option you have available to you is the remarkably slow removal of those debuffs with the individual items that they take, which I think it can be upwards of 6 or 7 different items that you'll need to throw at someone, which isn't slow, or which isn't fast, so. But anyway, this is the fight. It'll cast Sporefall again. I believe it casts Sporefall on a timer rather than a health percentage. Starting at, I think, 75 or 80 or something around there. It'll cast Sporefall then, I'm pretty sure. And then it's on a timer, so as long as you can burn the boss down relatively quickly and you don't get screwed over by Sporefall, because it is RNG what it gives you, it can be very difficult if it gives everyone confused. You can kill this boss pretty easy depending on your RNG, and if you have the damage required, so. That doesn't remove Confuse, I don't think. Well, it does. It doesn't remove Oil or Slow, though. That's fine. She will get hit with Fireball, probably, and because she has Oil, it's going to take quite a lot of damage. By the way... What was I... Oh yeah, we didn't get to test Penello's Gambit, so we'll just have to do that at some point. When it goes critical, it attacks faster. I don't think it does any more damage. It doesn't get any defense. It just attacks a little bit faster. And I do mean a little bit faster. This is really all it does. Nice block. So I amped up this boss fight, and then we really got lucky with Sporefall. Sporefall is a targeted AoE, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that this fight, but I should. It is a targeted AoE on whoever he is currently attacking when he casts it. So because we have Decoy, we know it will always be targeted on Ash, and as long as people are not close to Ash, they should not get hit with Sporefall. It's a fairly big range, but it is targeted. Anyway, we did it. Woo! On the flip side, if you don't have Decoy, it's probably going to hit everyone in your party, so get ready to deal with status ailments if you don't have Decoy at this point in the game. Which you should, because I have Decoy. Before we leave the area, there are, I think, 2? Maybe just the 1. It's just the 1. There's a treasure chest there, has stuff in it. Here's the Elder Wyrm. You know, it's just... This is where it lives now, I guess. It turned into a rock and just died here. Its tail fell off. You know, just grand old time. Anyway. Welcome to... If I remember that we had to go through slightly more of an area to get there. I was going to say welcome to the Pedamina Rift, but no, we have to continue through this little chunk of the forest to get there. Oh yeah, I should swap up my party a little bit because we were getting some XP for these 3. There we go. Don't need to get them XP, they're not really that low a level, I just, you know, want to keep everyone roughly in the same area. So as you guys are involved in the picking of the jobs, I want to make sure I at least give relatively equal coverage to all the jobs. I'd also point out that you can play the game with any job combination that you so desire. It is much more difficult if you cannot heal, though. So I would recommend some type of healer be available for both of your 3-man parties. By the way, it's a dire SAR. It's like a SAR, but dire. Anyway. I'd recommend having a healer of some description for both of your parties. So, for instance, our main party, which will contain Ash and probably Bosch, will also have Penello as their healer. Whoever is in that party kind of depends on what we need at the moment, but our other party will have Fran as the healer because she's a red mage. She can do relatively capable healing. Our main party, due to the nature of Ash's night job, will have far superior healing than the secondary party. That's pretty much always going to be the case for everyone that plays this game, though. So. Your primary 3 people that you will use for content are going to pretty much always be stronger than the other 3 people, just due to the nature of that's your primary party. That's kind of what you want. White Mage has crazy healing output, and Knight also has access to very high healing output, which is going to be modified by the fact that she is a Black Mage, so she gets all that magic potency and stuff. Anyway, these are refugees. They talk about the Kirtius of Mount Baramesis, which is, I don't think you can see it from here, but it's over in that direction. Let's talk to this guy, because he's an interesting man. When newcomers what can't walk on their own arrive, I carry them up the mountain. This guy just carries people day in and day out up the mountain by himself. It's a thing. He's a champ, man. Anyway, the enemies in this area aren't particularly scary. Mostly full of, these wolves, which, despite being in a snowy area and being called white wolves, are weak to lightning rather than fire, but it's just how this works. There is a weapon that you can get for Bosch, or whoever your Ulan is in this case, which gives elemental attack of lightning, or thunder as the game calls it, which is very, very good in this area. But again, by the way, I do not like using elemental weapons unless I'm doing something very specific where that element will drastically help me. It's just a personal thing. There's really no other reason.
City streets while refugees walk barefoot through the snow.
And so I sue for peace, to stop short war and ease their suffering. My father will choose peace.
Will he now? You sound sure of yourself. You can never know another, even your father.
Don't take it the wrong way, Kay?
This crisis would not end were I gone. The Senate hates the very fact that House Solidor exists. By necessity, we must find reason to silence them.
Necessity? Ah, yes, necessity. Does that word free you, I wonder? You show no hesitation to solve matters with blood.
The sword of House Solidor cannot be left to rust in doubt. It was you, Excellency, who tempered that sword.
Is this your idea of vengeance?
It is my idea of necessity. If we do not act now, it is not only our future you imperil.
So, you would dirty your hands to keep his clean.
My hands are stained with blood. I see little reason to stay them now.
So they are. And so House Solidor lives on.
Both of those little interactions directly tell you basically nothing. So the important part of the first half, with Larsa and Balthier here, the important part of that is what Balthier said: you can never know your own father. We will learn more about that later, but that's the important tidbit of that, because it is relevant to him. For the second half, it tells us absolutely nothing right now. Oh, I forgot about this little dealie. Jesus, fun. Too much damage. Anyway. We will learn about the rest of that cutscene relatively quickly. Or not the rest of that cutscene, the rest of whatever happened in that cutscene there, after that cutscene. Because based entirely on what they said, I would be surprised if you actually understood the meaning of that cutscene. But in a few hours, we will know ourselves. So welcome to Mount Bur Omises. We have a teleport crystal, a chocobo moogle, and 2 shops. That's one of them's a general item shop, and the other one's an everything else shop. We can also purchase a map from this dude here. I will not be purchasing maps because they're expensive. It's sort of a waste of money. But anyway, we'll go ahead and look at the shops here, because they do have some new stuff. Probably don't want to take Ice Brand. Murasame is fine though, if you so desire. So there are many new weapons. On hit disable. That's interesting. On hit poison. That's pretty good. There's the storm spear I mentioned. There's the six fluted pole. 59 attack power versus 53, and it's non-elemental. Don't really know. Does it help? Flame Tongue's pretty useful later, but we already have one of those, so don't worry about it. So it's 10 for that one, 22 for that one. It's pretty good. We're going to be getting some new equipment here. Probably before we leave Mount Bur Omises. So I will end up cutting the video there so we can purchase some equipment. But for now, let's go ahead and make our way up. These are all refugees. There's quite a lot of them. I mean, it's PS2 games, so it's not going to render like 1,000 people all the way up the side of the mountain, but there are quite a lot of refugees here. And this is the food line. There's food enough for all. He's got a fair point. Anyway, they all seem relatively happy with their situation on the mountain so far. And the Kiltius are very hospitable people. I mean, they are the religion of the game. Like the only religion in the game. And a neutral third party at that. Welcome to the shrine at the top of Mount Bur Omises. I don't know if it's actually a shrine, but the game calls it a shrine. Does this guy say anything? Holy Mountain of the Kiltius. We are on pilgrimage. The sanctum where the Grand Kiltius Anastasis presides. So obviously, being at the top of a mountain, we are very high in the air, as you can see, by the fantastic low texture screen on the bottom there. Screen, what about? But there's also some other floating islands miscellaneously tossed about. I'm not really entirely sure what this game has with floating islands, but there they are. Also, entirely unrelated, but my elbow hurts. There's one person we will talk to, and she is over here. There she is. It's Relge, the Vieira that was mentioned earlier. The hearts of humans are weak. And she is conversing with this Kiltius here. There's also a broken pathway here that they really ought to fix. Like, how do they get back from that side? Because there's no door or anything over there as far as I'm aware. That is just their home now, I guess. And there's some people down there, despite, you know, there being quite clearly no way to get down there. Maybe they fell down there. Who knows? Saw this guy as well, I forgot. If not the rift, where might it be? Indeed. A question for the ages that will be answered later, but not right now. I believe it's a hunt that is tied to that little dialogue there, but I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome inside this place. There's a lot of like, I don't know if this is incense or just steam or something. But you know, there's a whole lot of it in this place. Just, you know, we gotta make sure we're in character. We'll just walk slowly towards him. There you go.
Is he sleeping?
No, my child.
Whoa.
I do not sleep. I dream. For reality and illusion are a duality. Two parts of a whole. Only the mirror of dreams reflects what is true.
Anastasis, Your Grace. I am
Lay
Ashelia.
down your words. Ashelia, daughter of Ramanas, I have dreamt your dream. Who better to carry on the Dalmascan line than she who bears the Dawn Shard? Your dream of a kingdom restored is known to me.
Grand Kiltius, then give us your blessing. Grant the Lady Ash her accession to the...
suppose this is something you might reconsider. My little Emperor-in-waiting. You called and I have come.
This is the man I wanted you to meet. Believe it or not, he is a member of the noble house Margrace, rulers of the Rosarian Empire.
I am but one of very, very many. Try as I might, I could not stop this war alone. Thus, I came seeking Lars's assistance. Alcide Margrace at your service. To think I stand before the Lady Ash, it is truly an honor. I see it is true after all. Stunning is Dalmasca's desert bloom.
In Arcadia, Larsa. In Rosaria, Alcid. They dream not of war. Should empire join with empire, the way will open for a new Evilis in our time.
Grand Kiltius, you speak much of dreams, but in the real world, war is upon us.
Grand Kiltius, I was told my coming here would prevent this war. I was to assume my father's throne and announce the restoration of Dalmasca, treat with the Empire for peace, and persuade the Resistance to stay their hand. I have not come all this way to be asked to reconsider.
A word from you and the Resistance would stop cold, and Rosaria's pretext for joining the war scattered off to the four winds. This was what we had hoped. Alas, circumstances change. A full 2 years have passed since your reported death. Were it to become known you are still alive, I fear it could only worsen our current situation.
Because I am powerless to help.
Nay, in fact, it has little to do with you.
Then what? If Lady Ash were to extend her hand in friendship, perhaps I could then persuade the Emperor. His Excellency will solve things peacefully.
The Emperor Gramis is no more. His life was taken.
Father.
What possible cause could we have to lay hand on our Emperor?
A deception and an outrage. The Senate will not stand for this.
Here's your explanation for that
A
cutscene.
viper amongst our
With
senators?
Chairman Gregoroth as its head. With what dignity remained him, he confessed to the poisoning and passed his own
A
sentence.
viper with many tails. Much of the Senate is culpable.
We had no choice but to strip the Senate of authority and assign powers of autocracy to myself until such time as order...
Spare me your lies! I see the serpent coiled here before me!
Trace, you speak too freely.
Zargabath! Do not tell me you join in his mama's farce!
With Rosaria poised to invade at any moment, our leader must have a free hand.
The once great House Solidor is now reduced to myself and my dear brother Larsa.
Surely you would not go so far. Vain Solidor! As Judge, Magister, and Upholder of the law, I hereby place you under arrest.
You misunderstand. Vane did not make himself autocrat. It was the very Ministry of Law which you serve. Do you see it now, Drace? When you bared your sword at His Excellency, you bared your sword at the law.
You wear the mama's motley well, Bergen. Such strength. Inhuman.
Zargabath, take the Alexander. You will accompany Bergen and bring Larsa back to me.
Sire.
Your Excellency, Lord Larsa was placed under my charge.
Oh? Perhaps you mistook your orders, then. I can see no other explanation for why you were reporting and conjecturing on my doings to my late father.
Your Excellency.
A hound begging for scraps at the Emperor's table. Would you serve another master, Hound? You may fulfill your duty as Judge Magister before us all. She has been tried and found guilty.
Your Excellency, I beg you reconsider.
Do it. I care not. Live, Gabranth. Protect the young lord. Protect Larsa.
Forgive me.
Pray be quick.
And so House Solidor lives on.
Let us suppose you approach the Empire with a peaceful resolution. The late Emperor Gramis would have lent you his ear, that much is certain, but we are dealing with vain Solidor. Should the princess return, he would claim her an impostor, or to tempt the resistance into battle. Vane wants this war, that much is certain. As our ill luck would have it, the man is a military genius.
The dreams have told me thus. To reveal yourself would imperil us all. I see war, and Vane's name writ bold on history's page.
Arcadia's banners fly high. They are making ready for the coming war. According to our latest reports, the Western Armada prepares for war, under Vane's command, no less. The newly formed 12th Fleet has already been deployed. Oh yes, the Imperial First Fleet stands ready. They'll be underway as soon as the Odin's refit is complete. And there is more. The 2nd Caravan Expeditionary Force is being called in to replace the missing 8th, so there will be no gaps. The largest force ever seen.
And then, the Nethicite is the coup de grace. Grand Kiltius, your grace. I spoke to you of my succession. Let us put that aside. Should I become Queen of Dalmasca now, powerless as I am, I can protect nothing. With a greater power at my disposal, perhaps then.
It is the Nethicite of which you dream?
I require something far greater.
To wield power against power. Truly, the words of a human child.
I am descended from the Dynast King himself.
Indeed. Then you have but one choice. Seek you the other power Wraithwall left.
Does such a thing exist?
Journey across the Paramana Rift to the still shrine of Miriam. There rests the gift he entrusted to the Grand Kiltius of his time. Seek it out. The Sword of Kings can cut through Nethicite. Why he would entrust the power to destroy Nethicite, the instrument of his greatness, to another and not to his own progeny, I cannot say. Awaken Ashelia Benagan and take up your sword, or your dream will remain but a dream. My dream too fades into day.
So everyone's on the same page. Vayne has killed his father and completely destroyed the power of the Senate and taken over the Judge Magistrate? He's taken over the judges, effectively. So he has, for all intents and purposes, made himself the singular authority and controller of power in the entire empire of Arcadia. So Larsa is no longer with us, obviously because his father died. As well, the final thing that was said in that cutscene is a bit of foreshadowing. Which, you know, if you can't figure it out now, based on what he said and based on what he does every day, all day, for his entire eternity-long life, you're probably gonna have to wait till the cutscene part of the story that explains exactly what he's talking about with that quote there. But anyway, let's make our way back down. Our task is to cross the Pedamina Rift all the way to the southwestern side and do the Still Shrine of Miriam, which is the second dungeon-y style place after the King Wraithwall's tomb. But before then, I'm going to see what sort of gear I can get. I spent a little bit too much LP and didn't get any gear things, so we might have to sort that out. But for now, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.